Weebs at? Raise your hand.
At the bottom menu, click on Participants button. Now, you will find a Raise Hand button at the bottom. Click on it.
We're going to talk about anime today. Are you excited? I know you are. That's one of the pillars that have been missing from the Jacksepticeye channel all this time. We've talked about it all. Video games, movies, cooking, all of it. But we haven't covered the core tenet that joins us all together in this world, which is the beautiful world of anime and people yelling names at each other. So pull up a chair and quench that weeb thirst of yours, because we're going to get into it. So, for a little context, I want to be talking about Naruto, specifically, if the title didn't give it away. But I have never watched Naruto before. I've heard so much about it in the past, so many people have talked about it. I felt like an outsider, alright? I felt like everybody else was in the Hidden Leaf Village, and I was out here making up my own village, pretending that I knew what was going on. I had no idea. I've watched some animes in the past. I grew up on Dragon Ball.
Dragon Balls.
So I know what it's like. I can relate a little bit, but I just didn't know the specifics of what were going on. So I decided I'm going to start my Naruto journey this year. I'm going to have my own anime arc of my own. I am going to go through my own Chunin exam. It's going to be great. I'm going to be a shinobi. I'm going to know exactly what all the terms mean. I didn't even know what a Sharingan was. I didn't know what a Rasengan was when I started off this show. I remember... Oh, sorry. We'll be back after these messages.
My name is Ronnie Neville, and this
Grandma's got arthritis. I won't stop until every home in America has
got arthritis.
Have you ever wanted a coffee that just quenches your thirst like no other? Hi, I'm Jacksepticeye, owner, CEO, and general granddaddy of Top of the Morning Coffee. There's nothing in this cup. I'm pretending. But if you like coffee or even just want to pretend like you do, you can go to topofthemorningcoffee.com to get yours. Or click one of the products underneath the video. Now back to the weebs.
Well, what's next?
Garbage.
I would always hear people yell Rasengan, like doing stuff, like anime pretend fighting. And I would always see these TikToks with Naruto music in them, but never connected. I get it now. I'm one of you. I'm not just this weird pariah on the outside of the community that everyone has shunned. Not watching Naruto growing up is like saying that you've never played Super Mario. You've never heard of a Pokemon. You've never skateboarded and done a kickflip off a ravine. Whatever other people relate to. I'm just trying to connect. But I finally decided to start it because I always knew I would like it. It's ninja shit. It's so cool. Why wouldn't I? And I've always heard so much about it. But like Naruto and One Piece were always the animes that I never wanted to get into because they were just such behemoths to overcome. It was like climbing Everest. There was just so many episodes. There was so much going on. So we decided if we're going to watch it, we're going to do manga canon only. So the stuff that the original creator of the manga put into the story, but then the anime went ahead and made a bunch of filler stories and a bunch of filler arcs because it didn't catch up with the manga. Yada, yada, yada. Long story short, we're just watching the main core story. I know all the fillers, whatever, and everyone's going to be like, but you gotta watch this because Gaara and Naruto have this weird love triangle with a fish, and it's worth seeing because they really learn a lot about each other in that moment. I get it. All right. Put down your shurikens and your kunai, which, might I add, do fuck all in this show. And just relax, we're gonna get into it in a second. So, I value my time and my sanity. So we're just watching the main episode. So we looked up like lists and stuff of which ones are filler and mixed filler and things like that. So we're getting like the very core story. And so far, it's been amazing. We've watched all of regular Naruto so far. We're on to Shippuden now. We're like 10 episodes in, not that far, so we just finished the other one, so that's why it's fresh in my brain. I wanted to get this wrinkle stinkle out here for all of you to talk about right now, because some very curious things have happened to me on this journey. I feel like I've grown as a person. When I said I was going to watch it for the very first time, people were excited for me. They had no idea what it was like to have a person. It's like when I played Minecraft, and I had never played Minecraft before, and everyone was like, wow, you've never played Minecraft. That's so weird to see somebody not know what an Enderman is. It's like that now. It's so weird. It's like looking at a unicorn out in the wild. Everyone's looking at me like, how? How do you exist right now, having never watched this show before? I'm just so curious. So I tweeted out that I was going to watch it. I had no idea what a Sharingan was or anything like that. And everyone was like, interesting. You're dumb. I decided after watching it, I'm gonna like make tweets every so often watching it so people could figure out where I am, kind of play along and see where I was, react to what I was doing at that time, and have like a fun little bit of banter about it. It was all in good fun, all in jest, all jokes and memes and just something to do. But I did something that is basically a cardinal sin within the Naruto community. I might as well have committed a war crime. I might as well have lit a bag of puppies on fire on camera in front of the whole world to see, which is give my thoughts on some characters 31 episodes into the show and have people take that as concrete, factual proof and evidence and my opinions for the rest of what the anime was going to be. I tweeted out something like, 31 episodes in, here are my thoughts so far. Naruto, cool, goofy. Sasuke, kind of an ass, but also kind of cool. Kakashi, my favorite character. And then I said, okay, brace yourselves for this. I said that Sakura was the worst character in the entire show. I said that she was useless and all she did was yell out people's names and never get involved in anything. Pause for effect here, because I imagine that you have gasped so hard that half of your room has ended up in your mouth with that vacuum you have created. Okay, is everybody Daijobu? Look, I wasn't serious about this. I was just dicking around. She was kind of annoying. And this is the thing. People have no idea what it's like to watch the show for the very first time ever and not have any of the later context about what's going to happen. Like, everyone knows these characters and have lived with them for so many years that somebody saying that early on just sounds so bizarre to them. And I get it, but I was just dicking around. But some people took it so seriously and got so offended by that. I get it. She's your best friend. You've hung out a lot. You've gone on dates before. But some people got so triggered by this that they decided that I'm a monster and that they were going to spoil the entire show for me. There were tweets. I didn't see them because I just, for fear of spoilers, I didn't go back into that thread at all. I just kept updating it every now and then. But I saw people replying to some of this stuff. And I'm so glad I didn't get spoiled on anything because some crazy stuff happened later on in the show that I'm so glad I knew nothing about. But some people apparently went through and said like, oh, you hate her? Well, fuck you. What do you know after 31 episodes? This person dies, this person dies, this person dies. This is what happens later on in the show. Blah, 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 blah. And they spoiled the entirety of Naruto for me. Or at least tried to. I'm so glad they didn't. Like, I can't imagine being so upset about a fictional character and what somebody says about it 31 episodes into the show, which I intended to be like, this is my thoughts right now. I'm so excited to see how these characters grow. I know that they're probably going to change. A lot of people said Sakura's going to have this turning point later on. You're actually going to like eat those words. And I was like, cool. I'm very, very excited for that because that's my anime experience. That's my arc. That's character progression. That's what I want to see. I'm excited for that. I wasn't closing the door and being like, no, she's terrible. I'm never opening this door and looking at that weird child again. And in hindsight, yes, in Shippuden, Sakura is a fucking god. She's a queen. She kicks some serious ass in Shippuden already. I'm so glad that she has changed as a character and grown and progressed. That's what all of them have been doing. I just feel like her as a character in the main Naruto franchise, in the very first show, when they're all like kids going through Chunin exams and all that, she doesn't really have many substantial moments for her as a character. A lot of her input is just her yelling Sasuke and Naruto's names and kind of sitting back on the sidelines and crying about everything that's happening. Which is fine, but you need something else for the character to do. Otherwise, she's just there as like the emotional center point. For other characters, it's like she's being emotional for whatever. I don't want to get into like character stuff. I just find it really interesting that in 2021, Naruto's fans are still that engaged in the show. If anything, it shows an incredible amount of passion people have for this franchise. The fact that I'm watching it in 2021, I took it up now to watch, which shows the legacy that it has. But the fact that people are still gatekeeping this community and not allowing people to just say whatever they want about it and having to spoil the entire show for somebody just because they said they didn't like one of the characters in it that you liked. That is madness to me. Imagine if I turned around and said like Naruto sucked or Sasuke sucked. Good Lord, people would have come to my house and put me on a pitchfork. Anyway, I'm going to talk about Naruto for a bit. We're leaving that stuff in the past. It was ridiculous, but whatever. It's the internet. It's all fucking ridiculous. But I want to talk about the show in general. Spoilers, I guess. I mean, a lot of you have probably seen it already, but in case you're watching along with me, I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that happened. So, spoilers. Is it ironic that I just talked about spoilers and everything? No, I'm giving you a warning. I got no warning. So we finished the entire main show. Well, not the entire thing, because like I said, we skipped a good chunk of all the filler stuff, but the manga stuff we've all watched. And some of the stuff that happens in this is insane. I fucking loved it. I will say that it suffers a lot of the shonen anime of the 90s or 2000s kind of vibe. Like, it's very Dragon Ball or whatever. It's just a byproduct of the time. The shows of that time got all dragged out. They went on super long. It was all full of fillers. It's like Bleach, Dragon Ball, and Naruto are like the kings of this shit. But holy fuck, I didn't realize how much some of this is going to drag out. I was so invested in so many aspects of it. And then something like when the Hokage dies and Orochimaru gets his arms taken, and that, such a cool fight, by the way. That whole section was like my favorite section at that time. And then the Hokage is sitting there with a sword in him for literally 5 episodes and nothing's happening. They're saying the same things over and over again for 5 fucking episodes. Like, I get it. Come on. Kill each other already. It was so cool, but I felt like it took all of the emotional impact out of that and made all of the tension go away because it just went on for so long. And there's so many elements like that in the show that I feel like Shippuden is already so much better at managing that stuff. But again, I get it. Budget is tight. You need to repeat a lot of the scenes that you're using for animation budget reasons. You need to drag it out because the manga is like, you're not caught up with all of it. It's like you're running out of material very quickly, so you need to like stretch it out. I get why it's there, but watching it now, I'm just like, oh my god. I'm so glad I was able to skip through like repeat sections because I can't imagine what it was like to watch this week after week after waiting a week for an episode and having half of it be stuff that happened in the previous episode. Oh boy, you guys were starved for it back then. I'm so sorry. But what's astonishing is that having watched so many other shows, and especially stuff like Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia, Avatar: The Last Airbender, there's so much Naruto in those 3 shows that is shocking to me. My Hero Academia is basically like a new age Naruto, because everybody's quirks is like having everyone's jutsus. Having everybody's like inherent abilities versus the stuff they've learned. You have the characters who are not like born with it, like Rock Lee and Midoriya are so similar in a lot of ways. And then, by the way, Rock Lee is my favorite character in the entirety of Naruto. He's so fucking cool. But it's incredible to me to see how many similarities are between them. Because I love My Hero Academia as well. I'm not taking away from that show because I feel like both of them can exist separately and appreciate the elements from each of them. Because I love My Hero Academia. It does suffer a lot of the Naruto isms as well, where it drags out too much sometimes. There's a lot of flashbacks, but it's made for 14-year-old boys, basically. That's what all the shonen animes of that time were made for. So it kind of stands to reason that they're taking on a lot of that legacy as well. Of course, everybody loves anime these days, and it's amazing. I love how much anime has grown over time, but it's weird, like seeing Avatar: The Last Airbender as well, and how much Naruto is in that. Like people from the Sand Village and the Sound Village and the Leaf Village is kind of like the Fire Nation, Water Nation. And seeing people use like fire style and water style and that kind of stuff, and using like the hand gestures and all of that kind of stuff is so cool. But it's like using like bending. It's awesome to see how much Naruto has shaped a lot of the shows that I've seen, and going back and watching it now, it's like, man, so much of this is like one-to-one with Naruto, which shows how much legacy it actually has. I would be curious to see if I ever watched One Piece, which honestly I don't think I ever will. I know people love it, but that is just so much more of a bear to get through, because even the manga is still going for that. I can't. I just can't. I don't have the time for it. But I'd be curious to see how much of One Piece has perforated or proliferated into modern times now as well. It's so cool to see how much the show and the manga from back then is still relevant today. And I bring up Demon Slayer because I feel like Demon Slayer is amazing when some of its bigger moments happen, but it also suffers that my main pet peeve with shonen anime is that they repeat everything that's happening 10 times. They over explain the moves that are happening, and they just drag out certain sections that don't need to be, because all the elements are there for like an amazingly paced story, but it is dragged out too much. And I feel like something like Dragon Ball Kai, which I didn't realize existed until like last week, kind of trimmed that stuff down like Full Metal Brotherhood did, and just take the very best bits. And I feel like that's just the emotional moments hit so much harder because the pace of it is just perfect at that point. But God, I still love it. That's kind of why you watch it, right? It's like a love-hate kind of thing. It's like, I love that this reminds me of watching anime as a kid, which is what Naruto does. It reminds me of watching Dragon Ball when I was younger on Toonami. And that seeing all of that stuff repeated, it gives me that nostalgia. But as an adult, I just don't have the patience for it. But I'd always see or heard those scenes about like Rock Lee taking off his weights and fighting so cool. And that was like the hypest moment when that happened. And then seeing Rock Lee do his like drunken fist fighting was like my favorite moment ever. But episode 133 of Naruto is some of the greatest anime I've ever watched. That Sasuke versus Naruto fight was peak anime content. It was fucking phenomenal. I literally cried watching that episode out of sheer joy. I'm not ashamed to admit that I can cry over like really powerful, well-animated, well-punctuated like moments like that, where the pacing is perfect, the music is perfect, the emotional impact of what's happening is perfect. You have so much attachment to these characters, and the animation was the best the show had done at that point. Because it's an older anime, a lot of the scenes don't hold up anymore. There's certain sections where you're like, oh, this is where your budget's going. And then the episode still kind of falls apart because they drag out all the other sections, because it's like, we wasted all our money on this one section that we need to repeat the rest of it. Which I get, I sympathize with that, but episode 133 feels like where all of the budget of Naruto went. It was insane. It was so cool to watch. Watching Naruto kind of like turn it up to 11 and then Sasuke show off his new powers. Oh my God, my little anime weeb heart was so happy. It was some of the coolest shit I've ever seen. And now we're on to Shippuden, and the animation budget is like 10 times, it seems, what the original was. Like just the shading, the general like throwaway fights are all so much better than all of like the bigger moments in the original Naruto. So I am so excited to see what the hell is going to happen in Shippuden. To see some of the fights, and everyone keeps telling me like, dude, you haven't seen anything yet. And I'm like, I know! I'm so excited. It's gonna be tight. Fucking love anime. It's so dope. I want to make my own anime at some point. I keep thinking about it, and I'm like, I want to create an animated show at some point like that, where I can create like hype moments for people to watch. So, I don't know, man. It gets me so excited. It inspires me so much to watch it. And the fact that I can watch a show from so long ago and still be this excited about it in 2021 shows how incredible it is. It's not without its faults. There are a lot of moments where I'm like, oh my God, I literally got frustrated with it because I'm like, I've seen this, we've seen this, you've talked about this, we're going back again, you're interrupting a huge fight with all these fucking flashbacks again. Jesus Christ. But when those moments hit, it's totally worth it. You gotta push through. It's so good. And I'm glad all the characters progressed. I'm glad a lot of the shit that's happening, I will say, Sasuke, how could you, man? How could you do that to me? I had always heard the memes. The two memes I always heard from Naruto was Rasengan, people yelling that just in like fake fights or TikTok videos with the music in it. And I'm like, oh, that's Naruto. Oh, that makes so much sense. And also people yelling Naruto and Sasuke at each other. I remember watching old like Ryan Higa videos and seeing those memes and being like, I don't get what this means, but I can kind of piece it together. And then watching Naruto for the first time and seeing Sasuke and him be like good friends, I was like, I don't get this. And now I'm like, oh, I get it now. Oh, why did he do that? Wow, what a dickhead. But it does add for a lot of emotional weight, which I like. And I will also say that one of my bigger pet peeves with some of the fights later on was like the Shikamaru team when they go out and they fight and everything. First of all, my heart went through so many roller coasters during that little arc. But when they were going after Sasuke, all of the fights like followed the same formula over and over again. It was like, okay, we go up against this guy. I'm going to hang back and fight him one-on-one. I'm going to use the new jutsu that I found. And then the other guy turns on demon mode stage 1. It's like, oh no, now he's beating him. Oh, but I have the secret technique that I'm going to use against you. It's like, oh, I'm almost dead. We did it. No, demon mode stage 2. He goes back. And then the other guy's like, no, but now I'm stronger. I know that that's why we watch anime and it's hype as fuck. But when it happens like 5 times in a row in one mini arc, I'm like, man, I kind of know what's going to happen now. I feel like modern anime has gotten so much better at pacing this stuff out that back in the day, it was like, that was just all we knew. We didn't know anything else. So watching it in modern times, it kind of really stands out. But it's still so hype. I can't stop watching it. Anyway, that's my Naruto experience in 2021. You can go follow the thread on Twitter if you want, because I'm probably going to update it with Shippuden stuff. I'll probably come back at some point during Shippuden and talk about Naruto again. Shippuden is so much bigger. I didn't realize how much more seasons. Naruto has like 9 seasons, and season like 6 to 9 can all be like skipped. Well, there'll be people who complain about me saying it that way. You know what I mean? There's a lot of filler stuff in between those seasons. But Shippuden is like 17 seasons. It's like double regular Naruto. I'm in for quite a journey. I'm going to be watching it till I'm 80. But I'm excited because I care about these characters so much now. And I'm so happy. They just got the team together. I'm so happy to see what's going on. It's so exciting. Anyway, I've rambled enough. There's probably a ton more stuff that I wanted to say that I just completely forgot about, but I've taken up too much of your time right now. This video has gone on like a season of Naruto at this point, and I'm repeating myself a lot. Ironic coming from me that I repeat everything I say in my videos over and over again, especially when I vlog. But hopefully this was fun to watch for some of you. Any of you who are following along on this journey, any of you who wanted to know my thoughts on it, there you go. This is my review of Naruto, I guess. Solid anime. Classic. I'm so glad I'm watching it and can like follow along with everything that people have been saying over the years. And if any of you are watching it along with me, I hope I didn't spoil anything for you here, but I kind of did warn you. But I guess that's going to do it for me. I'm excited to watch Shippuden. I'm excited to follow along on this journey. And the emotional moment's going to hit me so much harder, and my tiny anime-loving heart won't be able to take it. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe down below. Hit that button. Please do. It helps the channel a lot. And I'll be back with more stuff like this. This is one of those videos that I'm like, I never normally would have made, but I'm like, you know, it's fun to just talk about what's going on in your life. So why not? Here I am. I prostrate myself before you and beg for your forgiveness for having never watched Naruto in my life. Please stop spoiling the anime for me. People don't realize what it's like to watch it for the first time ever now without any of the hindsight of what it's like to have known all the stuff before. Stop spoiling shit. It makes it very hard to interact with my community when everyone's spoiling Naruto for me. Stop doing it!